Hi there, it's Nick.
Hi, from Martin.
And today we are going to assess a 3-bedroom property in Thornley Lane South in Stockport. Notable because the original sale price was very low on this house and it was a new build, which is just kind of interesting. So it was originally sold for £73,000, I think it was, £72,000 back in 2013. So to go from 72,000 up to the current ask of 220, well, that's a bit of a jump, even by inflation adjusted means. So
I want to add on property tools. It said that it's 126K sold in 2003.
2003.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if it's a repossession. And the reason for that is when I look at the title deeds on it, I'll show you in a minute. All right, I'll just get into this very quickly now because there are a couple of things I wasn't really clear about. And with new builds, there's always a high risk that you have a predatory lease agreement or something like that. So I downloaded the title register because it's an interesting house. We want to make sure. And what I found was that the property was, you can see here, the latest person, this nice person here is the current owner. But then back in, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to try and work it out right now, but what I do know is in 2013, according to this, it was sold for 72,000. Now that may have been an off-market deal or whatever. I don't know. All right, let's not dwell upon that because it doesn't really help. And the main thing to say is it's a freehold, so that's good. It's an economy house, but it's relatively modern. So modern building techniques, modern layout, all of that good stuff. And if we look at this here, you can see you've got the large living area, you've got the open plan living space basically, and then you've got a kitchen and what have you. So altogether, fairly nice layout. Downstairs loo, which is good. And upstairs, you've got the bathroom here. And the nice thing about these kind of layouts are they are well thought out, and that makes them space efficient. So how many square meters is this? Do you know?
89.
Okay. Oh, decent size then.
Yeah.
Okay. And the kitchen looks like it's original. It's got a gas hob. I think as a general rule, one would remove the gas hob and put put an induction hob in, and then that would solve a few problems around safety risk and so on. That's probably working. Not sure, but I assume that is actually working, that vent. It's in very good condition. It's got the cheaper laminate flooring, but that's in good condition as well. It's quite spacious for what it is. Now, it probably needs painting and decorating throughout, but it's basic. It's just, sorry?
The kitchen is upgrading.
Yeah, well, let's look at that for a minute. So the kitchen is dated. Arguably, you could leave it there. It depends how economy you want to go.
In the location, the month you changed.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, the good thing about this is it's relatively modern. So what you could do is replace the trim, replace the kick boards, and replace the doors with more modern ones. So easy enough. And okay, condition, there's not much to say. It's an original condition from whence it was built. Let's just have a look at the at the context of this building. So the first thing you'll see is it's beside a block of flats, plenty of flats around here. And these are townhouses actually. So i.e. more bedrooms, but everything kind of stacked up on top of each other. And it's a relatively quiet road. I'm just checking the roof. The roof is perfectly good. Got parking on the pavement, that's fine. Traffic calming, that's fine.
You have parking also gated on behind. And I'm not sure that you can use it. It's for the, but I think you can.
Yeah, that's good. It's possible. Well, we can find out actually. It's easy enough. So I'm going to just go back. And generally, if it's allocated, which it is allocated, I wouldn't be surprised if those parking spaces belong to these houses. It just kind of feels to me like that's what would happen. So let me just twist this around. Are there gates? Well, we'll find out in a minute when we look at the other stuff. So condition wise, very good, needs painting and decorating. So let's call it, well, it depends on how hard you want to go with it. So if you really need to sort out the kitchen, then add an extra £1,500 for the new doors and so on. Carpet looks okay, I suppose. Backyard is good in that it's not overlooked too much. Although, yeah, that all looks fine. I don't really understand why they designed it so that you had a big front garden and a small back garden, because the back garden is more important. But anyway, fair enough, whatever works. And your typical kind of economy doors, bath panel needs redoing.
7.5 meter wide, the garden.
Right, okay, that's vinyl, by the way, that's why it's doing what it's doing. Boiler is old. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that those parking spaces belong to this house. Or these houses, should I say.
I can share my screen property data, have the data. I will share my screen. So basically, all this belongs to this person, this owner.
Yep. So that would be the property developer. They would have set up a limited company for this whole estate.
Yes, correct. For example, is this the same? No. So basically, all this parking space here. But we need to double check that.
Yeah, but you can see the one closer isn't. So I suspect those parking spaces belong to the house.
Yeah, I think belongs, because for this property, as you can see, it's this one on here is belong one parking space.
That's a big garden.
Yeah. And for
so
here,
which is our property? The one on the left or the right?
On the right.
Okay, smaller garden.
Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah.
This is the big garden.
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
I do strongly suspect that there is parking from there, because you've got the back gate and you've also got the concrete paving slabs leading to the back gate, which means it gets a reasonable amount of traffic. So I suspect that that's what's going on. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to the next part of this. So we'll watch some videos. And oh, there was one thing I wanted to just highlight here. It'll come up now. Sorry, the video takes a moment. Okay, the box, fine. We know that that's good. That's good. So I don't think it needs rewiring or anything like that. I think it's fine. And let's see. It always takes a moment for the videos to come up. It's like the machine thinks about it, and there's just quite a lot of churning. But they will come up. It's just fairly big video files, which in a way is a good thing. Now, while I was thinking about it, oh, there. No. Okay. I will close that. And sorry about this. It would be really helpful if Skype had a pause button for recording, so you could just pause and then keep it on the same thing. Then you wouldn't have to deal with us faffing around, as is sometimes the case. Okay. Oh, there we go, finally. All right. The kitchen doors are okay. They're not that bad. Like the kitchen isn't a wreck, and that's a good thing. Come on. It's just... All right, let's go back here. Come on. Come on. Let's go. People are waiting. Hurry up. All right, I'm going to use a different program to view this. And open with Windows Media Player. Old school, but basically works reliably. Here we go. Okay, the laminate flooring looks fine. It all looks fine, just needs a paint, just to bring it up a bit. Kitchen, now it's interesting that they've got that storage stuff there, which just says this, the kitchen doesn't have enough storage in it, but okay, fine. All looks very tidy and looks fine.
And they said the property is currently tenanted.
Okay, how much are they paying?
I don't know, because it doesn't write where. And they said that there is a cat, but I cannot notice any smell.
Okay.
But I find that they left the windows open.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, isn't it?
He said that it's ready to just refresh the property. Refreshing.
But does that mean the tenants are going to stay or not?
Yeah. And we need to find.
So the rule is, if you've got tenants, you don't do anything to the property unless you get new tenants in, and then you've got an opportunity to renovate. It's quite a nice living room.
Yeah, and it's good size.
Okay, here's the backyard. I'm very curious about this parking situation. Yeah, so there you go. You see, you've got the concrete tiles, you've got the back gate. So I think that's how that works. That you got parking there where the Mercedes was, and then, yeah, and so that also makes sense. You see, they've blocked that off. So the side gate is blocked off, and all right, so that all works and makes sense. Good. Okay.
It's nice garden.
Yeah, it's a decent size. It's probably probably doesn't get that much sun though. Just by the grass, you can kind of see the way the grass is on that. It's the general rule of thumb is when you get a lot of cover over a garden, it the grass just isn't very lush and what have you. Okay, very little to say, really. It's got a mixer unit in the wall. That's good. It's got a slip mat. That's safe. It's got a mixer tap. That's dated. It's got vinyl flooring. That's sensible.
This property just needs refreshing, painting.
Double glazing looks okay. It all looks okay. I'm not dwelling. That doesn't look okay. Let's just have another look at that. What's the EPC on this?
C.
C.
C and 78 score, and to
Oh,
B
right.
is 181. So everything is perfect with the property about the EPC.
All right. It's very little to say. There's your parking at the back. Yeah, it's all right. Okay, fine. So the first thing about this property is it's a freehold title. Great. So you don't have the aggravation of dealing with the developers and their predatory leaseholds and all of that stuff. So that's really good. I think it's a fairly quiet road. It's got traffic calming, which is good. Yeah, it's all quite nice. It's certainly a decently large house. It's modern, and it's obviously in an area where it's so central that you've got blocks of apartments nearby, which says a lot, really. So that's good. Lovely brickwork. It's all looking immaculate. I suppose bidding will go crazy on this property, although you can never tell. All right, let's have a look at the report. Although you could say generally there's more likelihood. This is the title register, which I downloaded earlier. And it was a bit confusing, honestly, so I just, whatever. There's some stuff here about charges and stuff. So this thing about having a charge on the property, registered charge, it's where you have a mortgage. So there was a mortgage on it, and Bank of Scotland had the charge on the mortgage. All right, now the next thing is we're going to look at the capital growth and all of that lovely stuff. So new build always means that, not always, but generally most of the time means the demographics are going to be good. So this is on the higher end of the spectrum for middle class, quite a lot of ABs and that kind of stuff going on. So that's good. Quite a young area, relatively speaking, youngish family area, and very Englishy, to use a phrase, and quite a lot of private rented. So this must have been heavily bought into as new build. And is this the right? Yeah, it is the right property because we got this. And yeah, I suspect, as ever, it's that story where it was built in and around the equivalent time of now, but in the last property cycle. So it makes sense that there would be quite a lot of private rented because of this little patch here. Crime is low, so there's no real question or issue there. Lots of green space around. That's all good. Lovely to see the park. And that's probably part of the story of this place, that people like it because of all of the amenities. All right, and let's look at the growth. It's interesting. It was heavily hit in the last crash. And so I'm going to go for this one. What the reason I'm in, well, firstly, before we get into it all, let's just see what the housing stock is like, because once you understand the housing stock, then you could work out, is this area representative? And I would say that this area here has more new build, and also it's got this catchment. So let's look at this one. And what I can see is that it was fairly heavily hit in the crash. So a good area dropped by 5 to 10%. This is dropping a bit heavier. So last crash, it crashed fairly heavily. It's 4% above the market high when you adjust for inflation. So, okay, it's starting to get into overbought territory a bit. In September, median prices were here. Quite a lot of turnover in the local market, by the way, and it was a heavy growing area back in the day. 60% real inflation adjusted, so a lot going on. I think in the last cycle it was quite an intense market and it crashed a bit heavily. It feels to me like this is a similar story for now. But anyway, yes, it'll probably carry on growing. These kind of properties, let's say it's 220. Well, let's work off the median. And if the median house price is, say, 186, then I expect median house price to creep up to 230-ish, that kind of thing, within 3 years, 250. Only because there's a lot of inflation going on and prices will just drive up. It's it's a good solid area. It's slightly out of the really hotspot areas, which is maybe good. I think it's good. It's certainly for Manchester, it's interesting, but the question is, how is it on location? Martin, can you tell us?
Yeah. Share my screen. Location. So basically, the location first I will go. Have you? If this was the property next to the, have some. No, it's not commercial. So it's still good. The property have a private garden, and also this, I suppose that it's supposed, the front garden is supposed to be on the property, but we need to check about that. So we need to check how because on the property tool it said it's leasehold, but on the title deeds what we download said it's freehold. So we need to double check what's going on there. About the location, it's really nice. It's really close to the train stop, which is really nice. It's also close to a school, primary school, to park. You have some markets here, so you have a supermarket there. Not really close, but still good. So basically, the location is really, really nice. And if you want to go to central Manchester, it's really close. This is for now, but it is the part tomorrow. It's 40 minutes, so it's really central. It's 40-70 minutes to arrive to Manchester. It's really close, central by. So the location is nice. Basically, you have everything.
Yeah, it is central, but if you go in a little bit further towards central Manchester, where the really heavy capital growth is, so you see where Gorton is, these kind of areas. Can you just check some random spot from Gorton or slightly
I will never
west
buy.
of Gorton?
Gorton is really bad because it's.
Oh, not Gorton, but yeah, I know it's got lots of issues.
Yeah.
See where it says Tesco Extra?
Where? Here? Yes. But this is all social house.
Just try that.
And terrace house, so this is not the best place to buy.
Right. No, I'm just curious about the growth and the cars, the relationship between. Anyway, carry on because I'm.
It's Reddish, so I think Reddish is really nice. We have a couple of roofs. And it's a new builds. You can see this part, so new builds, and I don't know why the price is only 220. To be honest, I suppose because it's 89 meters square. So okay, well, let's see. But if you have transport, you have bus stops as well. You are really also close to Reddish North Station. So yeah, and about the ECC, 89 meters square, 78. So it's almost B, which is amazing. So you don't need to worry about the EPC. There is no any coal mining issues. because the property is based here outside of the coal mining historical date locations. And when we go about the flood risk, it said that it's high risk, but I don't know why it said that it's high risk. And I will try to, this is the maximum, but I can zoom in this way. Maybe not the best. But you can see that the property is here. I don't see any high risk. This is the parking. Where is the high risk?
It's probably because of the park, and there's probably a slight slope on the park, and so the water probably naturally drains and pools down in that corner, probably.
Yeah, I guess. So, but this can cover by insurance, but it's a lot of hassle. But I remember
we don't know if it's a high flood, genuinely high flood risk or not, because the flooding may occur in that wooded area.
Yeah, I guess that's my guess. Parking on this wood area, it's supposed to be, but
I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Me too. But we need to check. The surface water high risk. Hearing drying away is difficult to predict, depends on what can happen. But this, I think, this can be covered by insurance. I'm sure. But how much that will cost, I don't know.
Okay. What about valuations?
Yeah, the property is in good condition. I think it's need around 6,000-7,000 maybe to renovate. Maybe a little bit more.
Well, yeah, we didn't really conclude on that, did we? It just depends on what you want to do. So let's say you keep the tenant, then it's £0. If you replace the tenant and you need to tidy it up, it's probably £3,000 for the painting and decorating, because you just repaint white. It's a new induction hob for safety, and possibly if you really want to make it nice, then you replace the kitchen doors. So you might spend £6,000 on it, thereabouts, but that's just a rough approximation.
Yeah, and I said that it's, I don't really understand why it's this 220 only, because I know that reddish, the price is 260, 270, 240, 300 for 3-bedroom semi-detached house.
Because it's not a very nice house, that's why. There are much nicer properties around there which you're looking at, and this is just a rather bleak little new build. Just looks not good, and it doesn't have this kind of wholesome suburban look that a lot of these other houses have. That's why, in my opinion. Even that they're kind of older, they're more character, but this is just a rather boxy, bland, cheap, modern build. But it is a good house.
Yeah, it's a good house, and you can see that the prices around are much higher.
But then you're paying for the bit of extra space, and as I say, you're buying a more traditional, bigger semi-D, basically.
Yeah, so you can see that the prices are going. And for rent, I don't know how much the tenant paid, but the rent, I think it will be 1,100 if you rent it again on the market.
I would, yeah, probably, or at least 1,050. The property is a great renter. Yeah. All right. Should we do some scoring then?
Yeah.
Okay. And here we are. I'm just going to share my screen. And so we say, what's the current ask again? 220. All right. Well, knowing what it's like in Manchester, let's assume it goes up 10% above the ask. And let's say it needs 6,000 in renovation, because you want to make it real nice, but this is a worst case. We'll do a good case scenario in a minute. And should we say 1,050 for the rent?
1,100.
1,100. Oops.
It will rent out that amount.
So it's 5.3, and let's say that it goes to, so 5.37. Let's say it's 230,000. Let's say that it's 0 renovation. And let's say, well, there will always be renovations. So let's say it's 3,000 in renovation. Just you decide not to do anything with the kitchen. You leave that alone, but you rent it out. Then that's 5.6, nearly 5.7, which is reasonable.
Yeah, nice new build. Usually new builds have around 5.2, 5.3 yield. So
I think it's, yeah, I just think it's not a very pleasant house, and I think that's the issue with it, basically. So if you look at where it is, where is it again? There we go. You just got much more nicely set up 3-bed semis around the place, and I think they're just more desirable. Bigger gardens. It is like a proper, I got my little castle, and they look nicer, and so I think that's probably a lot of it. And you can see lots of stuff going on in the gardens here, lots of extensions and all of that. And here we are. So this is your typical nice suburban stuff, and I think that's why this place is priced down a little bit, but we don't know. We've got to talk to the agent, see what the bidding is like, go from there. Now, condition. It's very good. It's fundamentally very good. Location.
Really good. I like it. It's 4.2. Because you can have everything.
Area.
It's a nice reddish. It's 4 at least. It's good reddish.
Crime.
Really,
yeah. Demographic. It's good. It's better than average because just a bunch of reasons. Capital growth. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yield.
Not the best. 3.9.
Okay, so it gets slightly above half. I think the downer with okay, capital growth. I think once you start to creep up towards the £250,000 mark, you get into higher levels of stamp duty, and therefore prices tend to just slow down. The momentum slows down, and we can see that the medium house prices are creeping up to like 215, 220, that kind of thing. So I just think it's okay, but it's going to slow down there, that's all. And that's why I'm not saying it's a 4.5 or something. If these houses were at 150,000 or 160,000, just judging the general conditions around there, I'd be like, great, capital bonanza, but it's not. Now, if it was, say, 2018, I'd be saying different things. But anyway, there it is. So I think there is growth, and I think you'll see this kind of house go up to it'll creep around the 300 mark, I suspect, within 3 years, just because of inflation, prices going up in line with inflation in Manchester and the end of the property cycle. And I think it'll crash fairly hard, and I think it'll do okay, but it's not a capital growth monster, as it were. But it's a whole lot better than a whole lot of areas. All right, so in conclusion, what's your conclusion, Martin?
I like the property, but we need to find out how much tenants paying. We need to see how much people are sending offers. If there is a lot of, and I think this property will not be desirable for owner occupiers just because it's tenanted. So I think it will not go up. Depends how much the tenants are paying, but I think it will not go up too much in the price.
Maybe. But the issue here is that it's very clean for an investor. They just buy it. They don't have any condition risk to speak of. That's it. So we don't know is the answer. It's hard to judge how this will play out. and well, I'll find out when I talk to the agent and just see what they have to say.
Yeah, correct. So this is all about how much offers it will have. If you take it around 230, it will be win-win situation. I mean, it's really nice, this price, because it's not the best house, but it's a new build. I always prefer new build if there isn't, because of the condition issues. It's lower chance to have any condition issues.
Yeah, I think with condition issues, it's all about reading the situation correctly. And so far, we're reasonably accurate on this. You can never be 100% because you never know what's lurking underneath. But generally, anyway, this property's good. And I expect bidding will be intense on it, even though it's not a very handsome property and all of that, but it is modern. It's pretty well laid out and so on. All right, then. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
And good investing.
Yeah.